Scaz and I are joined here at Ealing Trailfinders by their leader, USA captain, Zackary.
You were made captain of the USA in 2018, so you had played 15s rugby for your country for a year.
I think I'm a big believer in lead by action. I like to think more about friend, teammate, captain in that order. I know I had a great showing at 13 at Exeter. Thank you to my final season. I was a forward before that. The closest crocodile to the boat.
The closest lion to the vehicle.
Closest sheep to the sheepdog, but it doesn't really work. It's like the opposite.
You did get really stuck in on the Alona memes.
They were so good. Did you enjoy them?
Stadium of Light can take 48,707. Alona or no Alona.
Playing the host nation, if you take my personal feelings out of it.
Can you do that?
Yeah, not sure.
Seven saw we took bronze. They got $4 million.
From Michelle Kang.
Yeah.
Hi, Michelle.
I know you like sevens, and Alona's on our team now. A wiener dog, a sausage dog,
wiener
a dash
dog.
hound, the long skinny ones. I've broken her.
Really? Really?
Hello and welcome to the Good, the Scaz and Rugby, brought to you by our good friends from Vodafone. It's just Scazzy and I today. Well, not really just Scazzy and I. Scaz and I are joined here at Ealing Trailfinders by their leader, the new kid on the block at the same time, USA captain, Zackary. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Good to see you, and welcome to beautiful Ealing.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is as grey as the whole of the last week has been. We're just really glad it's not coming in sideways or sleet or, you know, gale force winds.
Yeah.
Are you going to take us on a little tour?
Yeah, I'll take you on a tour. It's beautiful. Look at this great turf pitch already. Wow.
Can we talk about the new pitch? Can you give us a little rundown?
Yes, new pitch installed this summer. Eco-friendly, built out of wood chips. Wood chips do absorb water and wood chips do freeze from time to time. But you know, we're working on that. But
Perfect for an English winter, isn't it?
yeah, I think like in my 5 years we should get used to frozen pitches. It's normal, isn't it?
Yes, it's very
And the
very
London
normal.
foxes appreciate it.
Yes, yes. There's no shortage of foxes running around. Maybe some loose cats as well. There is a black cat running around. We've called her or him, them, Luna. Lots of pets. They might be blaming us for the fact that the cat won't leave now, though. So
Do you keep
sorry.
feeding it?
I don't feed it. The clubhouse does feed it. I just pet it every night.
It's because the heating's so nice and warm in there.
Yes.
True.
It's
true.
a safe haven with lots of friendly people petting. So this is Ground Zero HQ. How is it different being London-based now?
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously a big change moving from Exeter a couple years ago. New stadium, new pitch, brand new team again though to the league, which was pretty exciting to be a part of for a second time. But what is cool is we've got the opportunity to kind of make it what we want. We've got a new team room, we've outfitted it with different labeling and lots of beanbags and put our own touch on it. Obviously Ealing have had a men's team now for a while. So now what we're embarking on is kind of gathering our own fan base, which is pretty exciting. So the more fans we bring in, I think even this week we had our first live stream ever. This next week and we'll have another one.
And is this, you do all your evening training, all your skills stuff, everything out on this pitch, or do you use some of the pitches around the ground?
Yeah,
as
so
well?
we have craft every afternoon where we can work on some skills. Sometimes it's maybe
Making
technical
bracelets,
skills.
or are we talking rugby craft?
Yeah, maybe some days. Maybe today it would be
Ball
nice if we
toss?
did. Maybe some wreaths,
Yeah, there you
you
go.
know? Yeah, a bit of craft, so sometimes technical, sometimes tactical. So we're always on this pitch, and then we have our evening sessions from 7 to 8:30 are also on here. From time to time we might use the top pitch, and hopefully there's a dome also back over here that hopefully I think we should use sometimes from time to time.
Maybe when the wood chip's frozen, right?
Here's the hoping. Yeah. But no, it's quite nice. So we've got the 2 pitches plus some grass pitches, and then 2 different gyms we'll go see next, which is not a bad facility.
All right, so who uses this gym?
Welcome, the men, the women, and all of these beautiful people. Hi, Charlie.
Hey,
Some of you might recognize her from all of her TikToks. Follow her, she'll follow back. So this is, we call the backs gym. And then across the way, we can also walk over there. There's the forwards gym, which has
You have
more
separate
weight.
forwards and backs gyms?
Yeah. At some point, though, they kind of cross over, but the forwards gym has more room, you know, more weight, because we're just so
I was about to say, what's the
stronger.
biggest difference?
So this is where you
You're about to offend
stay.
all backs everywhere, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we can show you that one if you guys like. But also the cardio equipment's in here because, you know, forwards don't need that. Forwards need to lift weight. I don't know if you know that.
Would you
I
like
don't give all that grief and then
Would you like to take us to the forwards gym now?
Come to the forwards gym where all the real work gets done. But you know, these guys are working really hard as well.
Why is this not just one big building?
That's a great question.
Because it's literally
Yeah.
2 meters apart.
You know, there's a few questions I have.
Okay, fine.
And one was
We just
probably,
don't ask them.
they probably built a gym for the forwards and then the backs kicked off and said, you need one
Maybe,
too.
yeah. They're like,
right.
we need our own facility.
No, it's really
But-
nice, really good space.
Yeah, we previously have done some meetings. Sometimes the guys will do like their forwards meetings in here as well throughout the day. So I've come in and shadowed a couple times, and Brett, like our scrum coach, he doubles with the men and the women. I've been here before and they'll do their scrum meetings in here, which is nice. So I think that's one benefit of having the separate rooms is they can gym, do some line-out prep for themselves for the weekend. So kind of a nice setup.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that collaboration and overlap between the men's and the women's side.
Yeah. So we've got obviously Barney Madison and Steve Shingler, who are now two of our coaches. They've come across, retired from the men's. Barney was coaching last year. Shing started helping towards the end of the season. Then they've both have now turned into full-time coaches for us, head coach, assistant coach, alongside Ollie and Kim. So that's great. And then Brett, he is the scrum coach for the men's. And so at least one night a week, like on a Tuesday, well, that'll be like our big scrum day, he'll come in, review footage from the weekend with us, and then lead some scrum sessions as well. So it's nice to have that. And then in addition, one of the men's starting hookers does sessions with our hookers as well. So we've got some cross training as well as the nines as well. So what's nice is you're starting to see more and more of the guys, I think, want to pitch in.
Have an interest.
Yeah, and the girls are also wanting to learn from them. So we're getting a nice like kind of cross-club collaboration. And you're seeing the benefit, I think, for both teams.
Cool. Shall we go find a place to sit down?
Yeah, you getting a little cold? Are you okay?
I'm all right. I'm only wearing the biggest coat that has ever coated in the world. Okay, which now?
It's not a big coat.
It is! Sorry. You just blazed past this. Like it's not a thing. Who organised this?
I think it was Kim, wasn't it?
Yeah, Kim Oliver.
Thank you, Kim Oliver, for
I
the
love
special
the fact that
welcome.
it's welcome all of us, yet there's only me.
Yeah, well,
You're the star of the show.
which is your favourite Kate Zackary of all the Scazzy moments?
I mean, because I also had chubby cheeks when I was younger, it's got to be this one. Like, come on,
I
look
was
at
still at
that.
school when that photo got taken. I remember it's in our old school sports hall.
What's
Yeah.
school exactly? Define for the rest of us who don't know.
So it would be like, I don't know how old it was, GCSEs or A-levels, so 16, 17, 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a lot of words you said, and I'm still
Sorry.
learning.
Yeah, it's basically when you're almost done, almost free. My best is the dead giveaway that is the eyebrow shape on that
Can
shot.
you even imagine how much work that took?
Oh yeah.
To keep
Once-
it,
once you got it
I'm not
done.
naturally skinny eyebrows.
no.
Once you got it done once, it was just.
Luckily they recovered.
Yeah, thank goodness.
I mean, imagine.
Thank goodness, look at those.
Imagine
Why
they
don't
were
you just
stuck.
give a good close up, you side by side with it, how it looks now.
Thank you, Kim Oliver. We love
Yes,
you
thank
and
you, Kim
appreciate it.
Oliver.
The Scaz in caps as well.
You never get away with anything with that girl.
Nah.
We've just come into a beautiful and warm space. We would like to thank you for leading us here, Kate Zackary. What is this room that we are in right now, and why does it have the largest advent calendar that has ever existed in the world, and some of the doors are open already?
Yeah, good question. Well,
Obviously some of the doors are open already. Do you know how an advent calendar works?
I'm just suggesting that we
9th of
open.
December today.
I suggest we open some more doors, but
Oh,
yes.
right, okay.
Sorry.
gentle. Those are meant for someone else.
Okay.
So welcome to the team room. You're lucky you got couches instead of beanbags, so we're taking it nice on you. And your knees, I know it would hurt your back probably. Yeah,
And
I
the
know.
knees, yeah.
I
all
get
of
it.
the above.
Age.
Yeah.
Senior citizens.
But welcome to the team room. This is where we have some meetings, but also where kind of some of the girls can come hang out before trainings, have maybe some work, have a lay, have a snack. But the advent calendar, great question. Thank you, Costco. Thank you, Trailfinders Rugby Club, for providing that for the team. So the men have one, the women have one, even the office staff have one. What we do every training night, we have players of the night. So 4 from training. Each coach names one. 2 from rehab. So 6 of them, we did the maths for the English here. Those 6 people get to come open a box, and they are full-size lint whether they're chocolate bears, chocolate reindeers, or the full case of Lindt little like chocolate balls. So it is
Unbelievable. I've never
Yeah.
seen anything like it.
Yeah,
I was just looking for door 24 because, you know, on some door 24 is like the biggest one. And it's like the
Oh, is it
Christmas
really?
Eve special. Yeah, on some, not all.
Okay.
But it just looks it looks the same size, to be fair.
I feel like because 9 and 3 are quite
They're
slim,
skinny,
but
aren't
I
they?
feel like that's also maybe like to trick you. Maybe those are the best ones.
Unbelievable. I've honestly never seen anything like it. How much did this thing cost, do we think?
I think it was around £100, but you know, chocolate, there is no limit for chocolate.
It's worth it for the
It's
team
so
morale.
worth it.
Just keeps people focused.
I know, and unfortunately, I haven't gotten a team or a trainer of the night yet. So one of these days before Christmas, hopefully I get one.
Any moment.
Huge
now.
motivation.
I know, I need some chocolate.
There was also a half-built puzzle before
Oh,
we
yeah.
moved the couches away. Who does the puzzle belong to?
You know, it's a great question. I haven't been up in this room much in the last few weeks, to be completely honest. I live literally a stone's throw away. So I spend time on my own couch with the dog instead of coming over. So, but I think a couple of the girls, because of like public transport and work and stuff, come in early. And like I said, kind of hang out in here, do the puzzle, I think talk and hang out. Not really sure what goes on anymore.
Kim Oliver said that it was potentially an Abby Dow
Abby, wow,
Thing
that would
earlier.
check out.
because she was concerned where and what we'd done with it and that Abby might.
I mean, it's a good question. Did you take it
Sad.
apart? But more importantly, did you take a piece at least to cause chaos?
Now that is one way to really upset Abby Dow.
We traded puzzles back in World Cup 2017 with Canada, and we took a piece before we gave it to them.
That's so savage. Did they come back and
No.
really?
I think, who knows, maybe they didn't finish it. It was like in the last week, so I don't know if they finished it or not. But yeah, someone took a puzzle piece.
And
That's
that was
so funny.
And that was the end of the puzzle exchange.
that should be one of
Probably.
those we judge and we whatever and we don't
oh yeah,
judge. What is it? Someone help me.
oh gosh,
We listen and we don't judge. That would be a very good
We
one.
listen and we don't judge.
me.
We stole a puzzle piece.
Have you been on social
I
media?
think I may have been this week. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Must have been. Yeah.
I'm so impressed, Scaz.
Although this is, I'm just going to change subject a little bit. I messaged Emma Wassell the other night. because
this
I
is why you went on.
No, because I knew she was having her
I don't have her
checkup,
number, so
and
I
I
just
was
instantly knew.
I was voice noting her on the way home, being like, "How did it go?" Da, 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 da. And she was like, "For God's sake, Scaz, I've just posted an update to the world. Everything was fine. I'm all clear." Blah 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 blah. She was like, "Can you please check your social media?"
Before you call me,
Yeah.
I'd put a whole video statement out. Please go pretend like you
But
watched
side
it.
note, what great news! Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
that. Great news. Great to have Emma Wassell in the clear.
Yeah.
Back to the sign behind you, Trailfinders Women. The men are Ealing Trailfinders Rugby Club. Why is this different? Is there a reason behind this?
I mean, besides we're better, or
Why did
just
you
kidding.
drop Ealing? Do you not want to be reflective of the community?
While we were at WXV last year, when I left for WXV, we were Ealing Trailfinders Women. When I came back from WXV last year in South Africa, we were Trailfinders Women.
Yeah.
But from my understanding, yeah, the big picture is like most London clubs. Excuse me, English cold here. We just
I
wanna
get
be-
it.
Thanks for making me feel
It's
better.
fine. Yeah, I get it.
Yours isn't illness, it's a tick.
So fake, but you make me feel better. Yeah, we just want to be like the other London clubs. We just want to be bigger than Ealing. Like Ealing is our borough. It is a big piece of who we are. But, you know, just like your Saris, just like your Quins, we want to be bigger. We want to be a London club. We want to compete with the best. And that means we want to expand beyond Ealing.
Interesting. I do find it was always challenging to then transition for everybody else who calls it, because Ealing is a hell of a lot shorter than Trailfinders.
Yeah, I mean, I won't lie. When
Just
we're
like practically.
one of the first times we came out from a halftime and I was on the pitch and I was like, let's go Trailfinders. And I was like, what is our cheer?
But yeah, by the
Like,
end of it,
Yeah. Anymore, I'm like, let's go green. Or if we're in our black, I'm like, let's go black.
Let's go purple.
Yeah, let's go purple. I'm like, oh gosh, Trailfinders is a mouthful. So yeah. Okay.
It's not the first time that you're joining us on the pod. The last time we basically raked you in was at the end of a
I
season
was like, was it?
when you
yeah.
were wearing the Exeter shirt at Saracens. And you made such a massive impact in that game. You were really professional. In hindsight, watching that back, you looked absolutely broken. And we were just like, here, come on, stand here, talk to us. Obviously, like zero filter here. Did you, now when you think back on that experience, did you feel pressured into doing it?
You know, I think they say like any coverage is good coverage, right? So yeah, no, I mean, I will admit, like probably 5 minutes before that, I walked over to my wife and I said, "Take this," and I was like, "I can't even hold the medal right now." You know, just like how you feel like after a tough game like that. We'd had a really good season, and then that game we just didn't show up. And I mean, it was our first time ever, and you're going up against Ceres, who's a team had been in the finals so many times. So I think knowing how close we were, but then being frustrated with how the outcome was. Yeah, a little bit frustrated, but once, I got down to the end of the pitch, you guys were smiling, you were happy, you were excited. So to be fair, I went from one end of the pitch, frustrated, sad, saw the fans. So by the time I got to you, you're just a bit reinvigorated, though, by the people who are just excited for good rugby. So again, it's a cheesy answer, but it's the truth.
She's such a pro.
And have we handed you a beer? Well, we had beers on
I
standby.
didn't get a
think.
beer,
Oh, did you
though.
not?
No,
Oh.
no.
Had Marley drank them all?
Marley, yeah.
Marley had
Oh,
already finished the beer, Scaz.
I know, I saw after the fact when you guys
Oh, never
posted, I was like, where was my beer?
Yeah.
But it was actually
Sorry,
better.
sorry.
I did get drug tested after that, though, so it's probably for the best.
Oh, yeah.
There we are.
Always good. Now, producer Shira obviously is always there with the details and the receipts. You debuted against France in November 2016 in 15s for your country.
Correct. So far, so good.
And then in 2015, you had made your debut in Atlanta in sevens. And you've played the 2017 15s World Cup, 2018 sevens Rugby World Cup sevens in San Francisco, and obviously a New Zealand Rugby World Cup. You're 35 now, and you were 26 when you got your first sevens cap, and 27 when you got your 15s cap. And all of these things sound relatively like, oh, okay, cool. But you were made captain of the USA in 2018. So you had played 15s rugby for your country for a year.
Yeah, basically.
After having debuted quite late in your career, relatively speaking.
Yeah, I picked up the rugby ball quite late. So that would be right, yeah. So debuted in 2016, played the 2 France matches, picked up a couple injuries that spring, so I didn't play again until World Cup 2017.
Yeah.
And then played for another year. We went that year without a 15s coach after that World Cup. Then Rob Kane was hired. We went on a November tour that 2018, and yeah, that was when he made me captain. And, now it's a fairy tale ever since.
And now you almost can't think of the USA without, like, your name is so synonymous with that team and what you guys have built over the last, 7 years. Captaincy at such an early stage in your international career, though, was that something that, how did you feel about taking on that role, considering the amount of responsibility, especially in the USA setup, that comes with?
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel like captaincy, it got a lot of things wrong probably in the beginning. And it's just about learning, isn't it? And trying to stay true to who you are. So you can go read the books and things like that, but I think it's about just feeding back from teammates, from coaches and stuff. But biggest thing I think in those early years, it was just leaning on people around me. In 2018 in particular, we also had quite a new team. We had a lot of players retire after 2017. We had a really great captain, Caramelli, at 2017 World Cup. So taking what I learned from her, watching the way she led the team, and that inspired a little bit of how it was in 2018. And then over the course of that next few years, it was just again, be who I am, have grace for people, push standards, but whatever standards they are, live by them. And I think I'm a big believer a bit in lead by action, because I don't think I always have the right words, but if I can just go do the hard graft, people will follow as well, I like to think. So it's been kind of a crazy ride, genuinely, when I think back 2018 to now and who I am as a player, who I am as a leader, but who I am hopefully as a friend. I like to think more about friend, teammate, captain in that order, if that makes sense.
Is the leadership stuff something that you had in your life prior to that? Because I know at school I was given certain captaincies just because you were basically the only one that could play the sport, but not necessarily because of particularly my ability to lead people. But was that something that you had previously, or it was given to you and you're like, whoa, okay?
Yeah, I think, I've been lucky enough to have a couple of the roles. So when I was in high school, I played soccer or football. I've been playing since I was 4 years old. So when I was 16, 17, 18, I was a vice captain and then captain my senior year, co-captain. Same when I got to university and I played soccer there as well. My senior year was a captain. So yeah, it's not a foreign concept. I feel like kind of school sports is a little bit different compared to a national team. So it was a bit of an experience. In sevens, there was a couple Falcons development tours I was a captain of as well. So I had like a few little roles, I think, leading up to it. So also grew up in a military family, and I think maybe that's probably why I'm used to like order and a certain way of life. Yeah, there's, you do this, you do that. And so maybe some of that falls in the background of it. But yeah, so like I said, lucky to have a couple. Probably got them wrong then too, but I think biggest thing was just do as you say, lead by example, and just have fun with it though.
For sure.
You said earlier that when you played 13, you were moved into the forwards because you were kicking too much. Is this the soccer coming through?
Well, what's funny is actually a couple of people recently have been like, oh my gosh, how's that move into forwards? And I was like, okay, well, I know I had a great showing at 13 at Exeter. Thank you to my final season. I was a forward before that.
Well, so some people thought you were back. Yeah. It's gone to a forward.
Yeah, recently there was a couple people who were like, oh my gosh, how crazy you moved into the forwards. And I was like, I mean, I was a forward before. Yeah, so obviously a few years at forward. At Exeter, Susie moved me into the centers. We had a bit of a shortage. She's like, do you mind filling out there? I know with your sevens background and stuff. I was like, okay, fine. There was one game, though, actually at Worcester, I kicked, and she was like, don't do that again. I was like, okay. Yeah, and then don't worry, I still kicked a couple times. So that's why I joked. Maybe I shouldn't kick. Maybe I should, though. I can't drop kick, though. That is a foreign concept to me.
Yeah, you definitely don't need that
No.
skill in the back pocket.
No.
Did you enjoy playing in the centre?
I did. You know, I did. Well, let me rephrase that. I did when the weather was nice. What I found, and bless
If
you
it's
guys,
not, you didn't touch the ball.
Yeah, if you don't, especially at 13, you're not touching the ball.
Yeah.
The other team's not touching the ball, so you're probably not making a tackle either. So you're just kind of filling
And if
space.
you're not allowed to kick, you definitely don't have an input.
Oh yeah, 100%. I would just fill space like this sometimes. Fold. Great work, guys. Keep it up. Yeah.
So on weekends like Storm Dara weekends, you don't miss backline life.
No, mine is like, you know, the lineouts don't really function either.
Yeah.
So there's nothing like, well, let's just go up for going up's sake, but we'll just watch the ball fly to the other side of the field and move on. Yeah.
Yeah. We've been debating that versatility, switching from 7s into 15s, but then also positional switches. And obviously Alona's at the top of a lot of people's minds on this. How hard is that switch between playing in the back line and then playing in the forwards, at least at PWR level?
Yeah, I think it a lot of it will come down to like your attacking system, doesn't it? And how you use, like, I don't think it's uncommon knowledge that like most people will push a back row to an outside edge, isn't it? So you effectively do play a bit like a center, and it gives you more attacking threat. So now if you really wanted, you can attack heavy to one side with your back line, right? But when you come back, now all of a sudden you've got back row, but you've also got like handling front rows anymore. Like I think particularly in the women's game, everyone has a lot of handling experience. You've got a lot of footwork in the front row, in the locks, all across the board. So again, the transition is still hard. You still have starter plays you have to learn. They are a bit more complex, aren't they? There is less space, but as far as once you get into genuine play, I do think it's pretty seamless.
You did get really stuck in on the Alona memes.
They were so good. Did you enjoy them?
I did. I didn't know it was happening, and I was actually at home making breakfast, eggs, of course,
Naturally.
obviously breakfast food. And I got a collaborator request from Trailfinders Women, and my roommate works in the marketing department. She came home and she was just like at the counter doing stuff, and I made a comment about seeing Exeters, and I was like, oh, how funny! Like that is actually, there's some pretty cheeky memes, and she's like, oh, yeah, we might have something coming. And she's being really weird, and I hadn't accepted the collaborator request yet, so I finally opened it once I sat down to breakfast, and I was like, ah. That's a good shout out.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was like waiting, and I was like, why are you being so weird? She was like, nothing.
Did you accept the request?
Eventually.
Yeah.
I did leave it for a bit, and I was like, yeah, actually, I want to be a part of that.
Did you see Gloucester Hartbury's repost on it? Just went, you okay, hun?
No, actually, I didn't. I'm pretty bad sometimes the last few weeks, but those ones were funny. It was good to see, because I know even in the evening, Exeter posted again. And then obviously Bristol was coming out with all of their content. It was a good couple of days of content.
It was funny.
Yeah.
As a leader, how do you reflect on the coverage over the last week or two?
Of Alona coming,
Yeah.
her impacts. I mean, I think it's good ultimately, right? Like, one, again, good coverage. It means everyone's names are getting out. The league is growing. Obviously, even Bristol's, I think, fan base is quadrupled in the last week. I mean, even Ealing's, I think that post alone got like 2,500 likes, which was massive compared to like 200. So the coverage is good. It's building the game. It's building the brand. I'm sure for Alona, it's also good for her brand. You can't take over, you know, she's taking over everywhere she goes. She's getting lots and lots of likes. I think she's enjoying her time in Bristol from the looks of it as well. But the media, I think, is good. And like, I appreciate that Everyone's they're seeing what she does also, which some of the content is just fun-loving content. And it shows you also how easy it can be, doesn't it? Like, I think people think it has to be complicated marketing for the women's game, but at some point it just means turning a camera on, shooting some content and posting it.
Have you thought about the potential impact if she was a part of the US 15 squad and what that may or may not change in terms of the amount of eyes and coverage and all of that sort of stuff? Because that's going to have quite a big impact, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there will be ideally more viewership, but even I think coming off the Sevens Olympic, how well they did, even right off the bat, then USA Rugby had more likes, more follows, more people following. We rolled that then into WXV. So you're already seeing a few more people starting to turn their eyes to USA Rugby. Obviously, that will, again, probably double or triple once Alona's coming to her first camp, coming into one of her first games, ideally in the next year. So it's good, but sure, does that mean there's a bit more pressure on us to perform? But that being said, I think we've also got a new head coach. He's about to celebrate his 1-year anniversary with USA Rugby. I think the team you see come next year with Alona, or even if without Alona, let's say, I think a lot of people will be looking at it. It'll be a really good team to watch just because the brand of rugby is changing. The athletes in the jerseys are getting better and better each week, whether they're playing here, whether they're playing back in the States, whether it's still in uni as well. So, I think we're up to the challenge, though.
You could recreate some of the memes in real life when you're all in camp together. That would be so fun.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, the attention will be massive anyway, because the Stadium of Light has a capacity. Have you checked this?
I haven't, no.
Opening match, Sunderland, England versus the USA. Stadium Light. Now, just for context, Eden Park, Rugby World Cup final. You guys had 42,579 people in the stadium. Stadium of Light can take 48,707, so 6,000 people more. It's not sold out yet, but it could very well be. Alona or no Alona, there will be plenty of eyeballs on you guys. And you were there when they played in that final in New Zealand. How does that make you feel when I talk about it?
To be honest, I'm completely buzzing about it. Like, we've had some big fan bases. We've been to games with big, but that will be massive. I mean, even I was coaching recently, and one of the other coaches was like, "Oh, you're Kate. I've bought tickets. I'm coming to that game." And what's cool, though, is like meeting a few people who are like, "I've already bought tickets." And I just think it's exciting, though. At the end of the day, like, I'm happy to be a part of it. I think USA Rugby needs the coverage. We are a good team. We need we're a team who's still even working on contracts and some of our own stuff. So for us to get that kind of viewership, I think will be massive. It only helps promote like us as a team, but also the players. Like, we've had some really good players who I think have just inadvertently been overlooked just because we haven't played some big games recently. Like your Rachel Johnson, I think people here know who she is. She's going around the country, but even your Talia Brody, she's at Leicester Tigers, very physical 8. Not many people know her yet. So by that point, though, people are going to know a lot of USA players, which I'm excited about.
And it's the opening game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, no matter, how big, whatever the tournament is, there's only ever one opening game. And I think that's like super exciting. Obviously playing the host nation, if you take my personal feelings out of it.
Can you do that?
Yeah, not sure. But I'm super excited. That's going to be massive. And also I think, like you say, because of the fact that so many Americans play in the PWR around so many different clubs, like English people will be coming to that game because they are a supporter of Rachel Johnson or Talia Brody at Leicester or whatever. So yeah, I think let's hope we get near that number.
Yeah.
How big does that feature in your? I mean, are you constantly going? That tentpole moment is right there on the horizon every day. Everything I do now, every training session I have now, every step of this PWR season, everything we do between now and that day is preparation, right?
Yes and no. I mean, I'm a big believer. We use this statement in our house a lot, like the closest crocodile to the boat. So right now it's just about like perfecting my craft here in the PWR. So it's
Say that again. She said it too fast. I heard a crocodile in a boat.
The closest crocodile to the boat, or alligator, your choice of creature. Maybe, other dangerous water moccasin, snake, I don't know. But whichever one's closest to the boat, you got to worry about that one. The first threat,
Yeah, got it.
The closest lion to the vehicle, okay?
Now we're talking your terms, aren't we?
Put a safari spin on it.
Yeah, so you think about that. It's always like in the far off future, isn't it? And not so far off anymore, right? We're less than a year from there. But I just have to focus on right now. Like, I still have plenty I want to be doing. You know, I'm playing 8 now. For US, I'm playing 6. Like, what aspects of my game do I need to be working on? What, as a player, do I need to bring to life as a back row in preparation? Sure, for that game, but even the games on the weekends here, like, I want Trailfinders to be successful. We're currently sitting like just below middle of the table. I want us to have a good second season as well. Like, that motivates me. That doing the work now for this will ultimately help that game. So it's a little bit of like, there is that. I want to be in that jersey, but I also just want to be really successful right now and who I am as a player and the team I'm on.
Closest crocodile to the boat.
I
I was trying to think of a farm analogy, but I couldn't quite think of one fast enough. I'll have to get back
Closest
to yours.
fox.
I was thinking of like closest sheep to the sheepdog, but it doesn't really work. It's like the opposite. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Closest combine to the corn.
The whale territory right now. We've completely disintegrated already.
The corn is shaking in its stalk.
Closest pigeon to the barrel. Gun barrel. Is that a bit much?
Okay.
Wow.
Oh no, good one.
That's
I couldn't tell if that was a good gasp or a yeah, okay, cool, perfect. Back to you. Was that one of the
Okay, let's see your segue. Go.
Bring it back to you now.
No, I don't have a
Go.
segue. Was that one of your big motivations for coming to Trailfinders? Obviously, you went to Exeter when it was that new club, part of the build, part of the like setting it up. Was that anything to do with coming here, or was it just a change of scenery?
It was the wife, number one.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you know. No, I enjoyed my first 3 years at Exeter. Obviously, coming over in 2020, there was no rugby at the time, so that was a big motivating factor to even come over to England. As that built across the next year, 2 years, it was every weekend getting to compete against some of the best players. I mean, you guys are world top 3 for a reason, top 2, top 1, depending on time of the year. But you know, we only get better by competing against the best. So that was a motivating factor to stay. And then, yeah, just to move across, like, had great conversations with Susie, great conversations with Giselle, and ultimately it just worked out better from a personal perspective. Like, my wife lives in London. We were actually able to bring my personal life and professional life together, which, as most people know in the women's game, it's tough. It doesn't always happen. And so when you get that opportunity, it was tough to leave. I really enjoyed my time at Exeter, the fans, my teammates, the city. I love small town living. So coming to the big smoke was a bit scary, but Ealing's at least, you know, it's like a half hour outside of London. Yeah. So, yeah, that was the big reason. And the rugby's been great. Like, Giselle recruited well. With the team we have now this season, we've got girls in and out of England camp for 7s, for 15s, Welsh camp, Scottish camp. We've got Italians. We've got the Spanish. Like, you name it, we've got it. And it's nice to like play with a couple different flares.
You're from Kansas. Like Wicked. Like
Wicked, like tap your boots, no place like home.
Yeah, like Dorothy.
Yeah.
Are you getting a lot of that from your teammates at the moment? Are people watching the movie and going,
you know what? Actually, no. It's a missed opportunity now that you say that.
hello?
Yeah, maybe we're not so hip here.
Can confirm.
West London. Yeah, West London line. Yeah. No, because I was just trying to think of what the rugby scene looks like in Kansas. We did get a message last time we had Alicia Corrigan on from Sarah Minahan. Producer Shira did copy and paste it in here for me to read, where she said, I love your podcast, but it makes me so sad whenever you have a North American guest and they act like domestic rugby literally doesn't exist in the US or Canada. Alona didn't mention the Women's Premier League, which is converting to a pro league in the US, and Alicia made it sound like there are no competitive leagues in Canada when both of them have national teammates who play or played for these teams. Sarah says she plays high-level club rugby in North America, and it's frustrating to feel like their teams and leagues are invisible, even on a podcast celebrating international women's rugby. Now, in our defense, we don't ever, when we have South African players on, talk about the Premier Division being played out there. What does the landscape look like?
Sarah, I got your back. So, yeah, it is a bit regional as far as like how many rugby teams you have in the area, what the quality is like, what level it is. So I lived out in San Diego when I was with 7s. When I then decided to retire from 7s and was just playing 15s, I played for San Diego Surfer Kitties. And prior to that, though, I did play for my alma mater for a bit in Benedictine, which is actually in Atchison, Kansas. So small town. They do have a women's club team. So that's actually where I got my start. Very, very small team, small school. We played like Lindenwood University and a women's team out of there. We played the Kansas City Jazz. So there is a women's team in Kansas City. I think on the Kansas side, could be the Missouri side. It's the same thing. So it's there. It's in pockets. I will say, like on the coastlines, it's a bit more popular. Your east and your west, but you've got the Denver team, and obviously looking ahead now, you've got Word getting ready to start the WER. So you have WPL, Women's Premier League, which is what I played in, and now you have WER, which is getting ready to start in the US this spring, which will be our first stab at women's professional rugby in the States.
How many of the US girls, like international girls, are playing in that league? Because obviously one of the big points is to try and potentially get better and ultimately benefit the national side in the long run, come to one of the best leagues in the world to do that, just because maybe the quality isn't quite the same in those domestic leagues back home. But how many of the girls are actually playing in that league?
Yeah, so we've got somewhere between like 16 and 18 players in England right now. And so from there, I think we're looking at a pool of like 60 players, right? Like most unions kind of have like probably your 20, 40, 60 that you're keeping an eye on. And then you always still have like the wider players, don't you? Yeah. So the remaining players will be playing in the WER. Obviously it hasn't kicked off yet, but they are playing in WPL teams, or they're playing at least in D1 teams. So they're involved in one of those two setups. And if they're not, it's because they're probably at a university program. Yeah.
That's interesting. So the fact that you have so many players in this league means that you have optimal background, experience, research, access, and fan bases all over this country ready for the World Cup.
Yeah. Like I said, especially now that I've been coaching at Brunel as well. So we travel a bit, and there's been a couple players or coaches who are like, "Oh, hey, you're Kate Zackary." I was like, "Yeah, hi, nice to meet you. You're coming, right? And you're cheering for us, right?"
Yeah.
I will shamelessly say there's a few people who've been like, "I'm coming to that England-US game," and I was like, "Good, you're wearing US kit, right?" And they're like, "Well, I'm English," and I was like, "But how many English players do you specifically know?"
So by name and can have a conversation.
Yeah, exactly. So like maybe a bit of a shameless plug, but you know me, cheer for me.
That would be like Hope Rogers' clan down in Exeter.
Oh yeah, in all of their Santa kit.
Hats, yeah.
You know it. They're gonna be there.
Strong. Now let's quickly look back on WXV, because you guys also faced one another in WXV, and I really found your comments post-tournament on the experience of being out there and what you got out of those games, and initially feeling like this was a really good and positive experience, and then only a few weeks later going, we actually got no results going our way, even though the process felt like it went your way. How do you reflect on it now?
Yeah, I still waffle at times on it, because obviously winning is nice. But I think at the end of the day, it's who shows up ready for the World Cup. So, right, you've mentioned before, there's the big dance next year, right? There's the World Cup. Obviously, there's all the little things in between. So it's like, how, I guess, stuck do you get on those, or was that all a learning moment?
Yeah.
And so while like a win would be great, while I'm frustrated, for example, we played Ireland, we're winning, and then in the second half we started making a few errors, uncharacteristic, made some changes that we shouldn't have probably made, not like just into our playing style, like players just started thinking about different things. And so it's about like the maturity of learning to win those games, which maybe sounds harsh, maybe doesn't, but I think it is important. Like teams who know how to win. If you don't know how to win, like you may be winning a game for a moment, but if you don't know how to stay in that mindset, it's very easy to then let that slip, isn't it? Like, and I know it's been a while for you since, you've had that. No, I'm just kidding. But it is important though, isn't it? Like you get into those really big moments, and it's about like the character and the maturity on the decisions you make, especially like at breakdowns, at set piece time and things. So I think that's actually, though, a bigger learning movement, isn't it? Like, it should be frustrating. Like, we lost to Ireland, even France, first 5 minutes, we're in there 22 for the whole time. We didn't come away with points. We made a few mistakes, but then I think we were all like, oh, we're playing France, and we're down here. We almost scored already. Like, and so it's about, like, how now we get excited and we stay in that moment, and we know now that we're a team who can compete with the best, I think was the biggest takeaway. Again, results speak for themselves. We did lose, but at the end of the day, within that, there's a lot of huge, really beneficial context, I think.
How much time did you guys spend together pre-WXV, though? Because I think this is always a big piece, isn't it, in terms of you probably grow throughout a tournament and you have those learnings, but they're happening so fast because you don't have that, maybe that huge, like we had a big block of time together, a couple of warm-up games, and it all fed in quite nicely to that tournament. But as far as I understand, you guys probably don't have that same amount of time. And I guess you add in also a relatively new coach into that. So the learning has got to happen so quickly.
Yeah. So we had a couple girls who were back stateside playing. So they're in different teams and they were together but playing through the summer, the WPL. We had a few of us who were here doing preseason, but we didn't get together till the week before the tournament officially started.
Yeah.
So
It's
we were
mad, isn't it?
Yeah, we were over in Washington. We did a week there training, drove across the border on Saturday. Then we did a scrimmage with Canada Sunday, entered WXV camp Monday, played you guys that week.
Yeah,
So
that's hectic.
yeah. And again, like I said, most of the players hadn't been together all summer either, whereas, I mean, you guys were together for a couple weeks, weren't you? At least off
Months.
and on. Yeah.
Yeah,
True
months.
months.
Yeah.
And you enjoyed every minute of it. I heard about some of the Hurt Locker events, the sweat sheds.
Their approach is very more is more, you know.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. And this off the back of Pack 4, which if anyone in this territory doesn't watch a lot of that, the Pacific 4 series is also an opportunity for you to qualify for WXV1. You guys finished third in that in 2024. And you came into that last game against Australia, which was the playoff that basically secured you a place in WXV1. If it was the other way around, Australia would have been in 1 and you would have gone to South Africa again. So now you come into that game, have a massive impact, managed to win that. Do you reflect on that and go, oh, if we had played in 2, we would have come out of it with that momentum, that winning momentum potentially? And do you now, in hindsight, sometimes wonder what the effect would have been the other way around?
Yeah, I mean, I think like any moment, again, another analogy, there's 2 sides to every coin, isn't there? And it doesn't mean either one, I think, is a bad option. So, yeah, came into that tournament. Unfortunately, it had an injury I was rehabbing from. So that was the first game I could get back for. Was lucky enough to still travel with the team and get an opportunity to play. Massive win. And that was that game as well. Like, it was back and forth. I mean, again, if you go back and watch that game, we were losing for a bit. We get a massive maul try right before halftime. And I think that, again, is huge momentum going into the sheds. And we carried that through the next 40 minutes. Lottie Clapp scores, Sharp now that she's married, scores an amazing try off like a little tip ball from our 9. And I think there's moments in that game, you're like, wow, this is exciting rugby. And keep in mind, like, our coach had only been with us for a couple months at that point. He'd had maybe like 3 touch points with us before we even got to Pack 4, which is wild. So we're walking away with that was huge. And I think ultimately we really wanted to be in WXV1. Yeah. We wanted to be playing England. We wanted to be playing France, Ireland. Yeah. Even Ireland has had a massive come up since 6 Nations. And so once again, being able to compete in those games, I think was huge. Like, there's nothing to say bad about WXV, like watching some of those score lines, watching the competition of, Scotland and Wales and Australia, South Africa in there. Like, those are exciting games to watch. And I think what's cool is all 3 of the tournaments had really tough games. And I think like all the teams were right where they needed to be, but that's where we need across the globe. We need more teams playing. We need more teams playing each other. We need opportunities for teams with less to play the teams with more and vice versa. Because I think it just gives us a different experience. Like, I'm sure like when you play us versus when you play like a Fiji, it's a different game. It challenges you differently, and that's what we need.
Most definitely.
And I think that by the time we reach Sunderland, the opportunity of having played England in a recent past, WXV1, this England, the way that they're playing now, that will bear fruit. So it is really crucial and important experience to have those regular games. The interesting thing is that you're talking about getting your coach in, having what you call touch points. What do those look like, practically speaking? And how much of the actual coaching gets done in between when you guys are in camp for these bursts of 4 weeks at a time?
Yeah, good question. So like looking back at last year, Sione took the job in December. They had a camp late January, early February in the States. So it was kind of like a top 50 camp. Then he didn't see anyone again. So I hadn't actually met him in person until he came to the UK for our South Africa test match, which again, we met for...
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, for like 1 week.
It's like, nice to meet you.
Nice
Shall
to
we
meet
go
you.
out there?
Yeah, we've talked on the phone a lot. We've, been on video calls for the last month, but yeah, I met him in person. And it's always interesting, obviously, to meet people from Zoom to in person. They're always a little bit different than expected. Maybe I was expecting him to be taller. Sorry. I'm sure he expected a lot different from me, but we won't ask that question. But yeah, so we 10 days, not even, about 10 days maybe, South Africa game, we broke again. I think he then did some touch points around the US a little bit. So he's based in Denver now. He tries to get around and see some different players and teams. But yeah, then it was Pack 4. So then we were together for 3 weeks for Pack 4. So that was the next touch point. Then we break up again. And then it was WXV. So in between those things, you've got some reviews. There's opportunity for one-on-ones if players want to catch up with them. They're sending out as much info in between. So your attack, your defense, some of your structures and stuff, things you can front load, but the physical prep all has to come on to the players on your own time. And that's why trying to find players' daily training environments. So whether that's here, whether that's back in the States with the WPL team, or in the future a Word team or a university, like, unfortunately, some of that has to be carried out elsewhere on the players' time, because our time's limited, so you have to make the most of it.
Because he's been in the UK, hasn't he, recently for a few weeks? Is that more for him to learn about the clubs and potentially where he can maybe signpost players to, or is that about catching up with you guys as individuals and, I don't know, key things to work on or whatever that might be, just actually seeing you guys play? Or is it a bit of both? Yeah,
no, I think it was a little bit of all the above. Like, obviously it's great, I think, for the coaches to get to meet the other coaches, see the facilities as well, a bit of scouting. Obviously we're going to be here for quite a few weeks next year, and we're going to be based in the north, so it's also starting to scout like what training facilities are like, where would be best for us to be based.
That's interesting, because in the men's game that job is done by the team manager.
What's a team manager?
What's that? How many team manager roles do you take on, Captain?
We've had really great team managers, but unfortunately haven't always had full-time ones. So there was a while that as a team manager would come on for a tour, I'd be like, all right, let's sit down. Here's all the things outside of laundry and other logistics that like you probably don't hear about from staff that benefit the players, and help me help you. But now, we've got some more full-time staff, some more full-time managers, so it's actually helped out a lot.
Have you got like a starter kit? Like, here is the template of documents.
I did joke, when you start a new job, you get like that binder. Like, here's like the
Passover document.
Yeah, the Passover document. I did like joke. I was like, should I create a Passover document?
Now, how does the funding of the program work on the 15s side? Because I know that Alicia, for example, was telling us about how the Canadian girls knew going to the Paris Olympics that they had to medal in order to secure funding for that program to continue. Alona's spoken about that in the Sevens program, also how important the Olympics basically, and where you place there. I mean, you can win the World Series for all you want, all 4 years in a row. If you don't medal at the Olympics, it's almost inconsequential. How does it work on the 15 side, and how do you earn enough support? Is there a way through performance you can secure things, and does the World Cup factor into that?
Yeah, I think you've always got your base rate that the union provides, right? So all the teams have whatever base rate the union provides from their budget, through sponsorships and investments and things like that. Each program then has some kind of foundation. Our Sevens programs also have the Golden Eagles, which is a alumni group they give money back to the teams to help support, again, in those 4 years leading up to the Olympics. Obviously, the Olympic teams do receive additional funding then from Olympic committees. So they have a couple sources. For 15s, it is a bit more difficult. Like, we have our base rate. And then recently now we have the XV Foundation, started by Christine Sommer and Alicia Washington. They've been running that, and that primarily goes to helping the players individually. So those who have to take time off from work when they're on tours and they're losing income because they're not making money. They do a lot of like scholarships to support those players, as well as then trying to help fundraise for the program, looking ahead to like World Cup, which could offset costs for like team events. Like you guys went whale watching. So that kind of stuff, though, that builds like their important stuff. It's not just the rugby, isn't it, though? It's like what you do in and around it. So we do have their support. And then, of course, sponsors that look to sponsor the team. But sponsors want visibility, don't they? Yeah. And that's what comes to a World Cup. You need a good performance, because if you have a good performance, sponsors come in, right? And like Sevens saw, we took bronze, and next thing you know, they got, what, 4 million? Whatever it was.
$4 million.
$4 million.
From Michelle Kang.
Yeah.
Hi, Michelle.
Yeah.
But if you are watching the show,
please.
Michelle, let's chat.
I know you like Sevens, and Alona's on our team now, so. But what's great is like that performance got them the visibility. Not only do you get the other bonuses and things, but then sponsors see that. Sponsors think, oh, wow, okay, great. I want to put money into a team like that.
And you are hosting both the men's and the women's Rugby World Cups in 2031 and 2033.
Tune in 10 years from now.
Yeah, no pressure. The horizon for you is pretty exciting, because as soon as you stop playing, there's this obviously a really big job to be done back home. And I'm sure coaching is calling your name.
Well, maybe, hopefully. I just want to be a trophy wife ultimately, but coaching would be a good benefit as well.
Trophy wife life. You can take the dog for a walk.
Just saying, coaching gives me the flexibility to take care of the dogs, you know, care for the house. But in all seriousness, yeah, I mean, obviously can't keep playing forever. As much as I'd like to, as much as the coaches tell me I should try. Maybe a few people have been like, another 4 after this, right? And I'm like, I don't know about that. Yeah, so the coaching's been good. Been working on some of my credentials here and just trying to get experience. But I think, yeah, long term, so it'd be great to be able to go home and be a part of coaching there, whether it's in the men's or women's program. But in particular, seeing WER grow into something really, really competitive and desirable would be a great opportunity to be a part of in the future.
In the men's program?
In the men's program, you've also got the MLR. I think it would be challenging. I do think it's interesting to coach men. Did a little bit last year, dabbled with our Ealing U17s team. And it was just a nice experience to see, like, obviously how different it is. As bad as it is, there are some differences. I remember going and I was explaining a drill and these poor guys were just like staring at me. And I was like, okay, here's a ball. Just don't get tackled, basically. And they just run around, they do stuff. And then eventually you have to be like, okay, well, I know you can kick, but you know those aren't good kicks, right? Like, it was just an interesting difference at times. But yeah, I don't know. I want to be challenged, and I think it would be great to see more women in both spaces, right? Whether it's coaching, physios, obviously S&Cs, I think it would be massive.
Is your player card here? We got these Ealing player cards. Trailfinders have some great marketing material that they hand out here in the village.
Can we play?
In West London. How does
You
this
can.
work?
I've got a pack too.
Sorry, I'm a shiny card, so I can already tell you don't have
Oh,
one.
what does the shiny card mean? Is that like VIP?
It means like you're too old. You know, actually, no, I don't know. Maybe it is VIP. Yeah, maybe stats are too good. Maybe birth years before 2001.
Oh, I've got some good ones.
Who we got?
Ellie Boatman.
Oh.
Super strength. Speed.
I was going to say speed.
Shown Dubai and Cape Town recently.
Yeah. Fiona Cooper, back row, ball carrier. Kaylee McHugh.
Does that mean I win that one? Are we playing top trumps or not?
Oh, sorry. What did I
All right, so she got speed. What are you throwing out to counter
You're
speed?
throwing ball carrier. I'm having
Ball
that.
carrier.
I'm having that.
Ooh, okay.
1-0.
Apparently the Kate Zackary card says leadership, superpower. Not your kicking, sorry.
What do you think? You think it's good quality?
Well, I mean, you just said that what did you just say about your coach? Oh, that you wish he was taller, or you were disappointed he wasn't quite as tall. I mean, that's some ballsy leadership right there.
It's all about having a very like good relationship, right, with your coaches.
Good
like,
enough that you can go.
Yeah, you gotta like be able to like have a good chat with each other, right? You don't want it to be all business sometimes. At least I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Or by
Sienna,
the time
let
this
us
goes
know.
out, I'm fired. So you'll know in a few weeks.
Drop us a note. Kate Zackary recalled as USA captain. The other thing that you could go into post rugby is social media management. I mean, outside of the meme games being strong post Alona, WhiskySourPaws.
Sour paws.
Sorry?
WhiskySourPaws.
WhiskySourPaws. Pause.
Get it
Whiskey.
right.
Sorry. What did I just say?
Our paws.
She's gone South African.
Yeah.
Whiskey our paws.
Yeah, sorry. You could go into social media
He's
management.
not here. Whiskey your paws.
Whiskey your paws, please. We
Whiskey
do wipe his paws when he comes in, so that is a phrase he's used to.
Whiskey sour.
What, and you say pause and he puts them up?
I mean, no, I wish he was actually that.
Oh,
trained.
okay.
Yeah.
We
Did
do
you
like
bring him
whiskey.
over from the US?
We did. So we adopted him in California. Suspect that maybe he was rescued from Mexico because some of my wife's family speaks a lot of Spanish, and whenever he hears that, he just starts getting all wiggling. We're like,
Oh,
maybe he's also a Mexico dog, so maybe. And
Well
now
travelled.
and our roommate also speaks Italian to him now, and suddenly maybe he just loves an accent. I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe he's just really high on empathy. What kind of breed is it again?
So I guess I should say dash hound. We say dachshund. A dash hound.
Sausage
How
dog.
do you say?
Sausage dog.
Sausage dog.
How do you say?
A dachshund.
Oh wow, I've never heard it said like
Oh,
that.
yeah. A wiener dog, a sausage dog,
wiener
a dash
dog.
hound, the long skinny ones. I've broken her. I broke her.
Really? Really?
Why is that so funny?
Nobody
You tell
knows.
me, why is that so funny?
I don't know. Sometimes I just get the giggles. But the wiener dog
Yeah,
that is crossed with a chihuahua.
yeah.
Yeah, no wonder it doesn't shut up.
No, he will be actually
Is
really
he yappy?
sweet.
Is he really
He
yappy?
can be, yeah. He's 11 now, and I think, like, to be honest, he's actually super chill. Most people come home and they're like, I've never met such a chill dog. Like, he goes broken dog mode, like, on the back, 4 paws up in the air all the time. But, yeah, like, he seems deaf, right? Like most dogs, like you call their name, they never listen. But we'll be walking late at night. He thinks he hears an airplane probably miles away, and he just starts barking. Like he thinks he hears like a leaf fall from a tree a block away, and he starts barking sometimes. I'm like, but you don't hear me at the park asking you to come back.
Yeah, weird, isn't it?
Yeah, so strange.
So, WhiskySourPaws on Instagram, right?
Yep, you bet.
If you feel like Kate is not serving enough content on her own account, it's because she's busy posting on WhiskySourPaws. We don't know where Scazzy is putting her content because it's also not going on.
You
her
haven't
main
found the
feed.
other account yet.
No, we haven't found the other account yet. We're not on the close friends. Sorry.
Gosh, what do the kids call it? Don't kids usually have like a fake account as well?
Yeah, they do. They have like a
a
What do you call
Finsta.
it? A
Don't know.
Finsta.
Yeah.
Do you have a Finsta?
I've never heard that term. Should I have heard that term?
I guess
Ask
I'm the only
some of
hip
your
one here
friends at
then.
work. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll admit though, I can't like do the whole like woof woof. Like, you know how people sometimes do like the like dog ones. Have you ever followed? Sorry, let me add more context. But they'll like misspell things and be like woof, oh, and like they'll misspell things in the captions. I'm like, I can't go that far.
Yeah. Stay positive.
That's
Yeah,
where you need Abby
positive.
Dow's help and her puns.
Yeah, it is true.
Yeah.
What do you think my puns aren't good? Do you not look at my Insta?
I've definitely not seen Whiskey's Insta. That's for sure.
Yeah. WhiskySourPaws. Put it
Maybe
on
you
your
should
list.
get on your scroll game a little more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
should
next,
make that shit.
next week when you go back onto social media, put that on the
Yeah,
list
okay,
of ones
fine.
to check out
Got
for
it.
us.
Once
Good.
I've remembered my password, I'll let you know.
England Rugby 1-3.
So
I heart.
outside of your social media game on the dog Finsta, the season has been a stormy one outside of Dara because you also had the news of your director of rugby, Giselle, leaving right at the start of the season. But there was news afterwards that Barney, your head coach, had been installed as your head coach even before she left. So it wasn't such a big shake-up.
Yeah, I think so. Barney was with us last year. He's our assistant forwards coach. We've also got Ollie, who's been around with Giselle, even coaching at Wasp back in the day, and Kim. And so, yeah, Barney came in. He was going to take over as head coach. Giselle is DOR. Because I do think in the women's game, if you look at the men's game, that is also how it works. You have a DOR, you have a head coach, you have assistant coaches. And so if you're starting to think about how we want to expand these teams, you want to bring in more and more quality. It's also a lot more work, though, isn't it? Like, there's recruitment that happens behind the scenes. There's always conversations, right? I can't tell you probably how many PWR calls there probably are talking about games and next season and planning. And so it does help to kind of have different roles, isn't it? And then you've got your managers doing day-to-day stuff. So there's always kind of the plan that Rob, I don't know where that was coming from. Barney would be the
breaking
head coach.
news?
Breaking news.
Is there something you would like to tell us?
Breaking news. There's a robbery in my brain.
Kate, robbery.
Barney was going to take over as head coach. Giselle's DOR. And then, yeah, obviously we had a split. Giselle ended up leaving the club, but has now found a great opportunity at GB7s. They just had a fantastic showing at Cape Town.
Yeah.
And so it's great to see her being in that program. Like, she does so well at building up teams. Like, I think at Wasp, everything I've ever heard when she built up that team was great. The way she builds up culture, brings in good people, staff and players included. And that's what she did last year. And that's what sold me on the dream as well of coming to Ealing. Obviously, the wife being here is great, but Giselle also sold me on the dream of a new team with a lot of support. She had big dreams for it, and I think we're still fulfilling that.
And a bit of purple.
And a lot of purple. But, you know, purple does not look bad on me. So
Turns out you can carry it.
It works.
yeah.
So your second season at Exeter, you guys made the final. What's the aim? This season has gone well, despite that wobble at the start and making news. Aim for the season?
Yeah, I think aim is definitely to be in that middle of the pack. Obviously, we would love to be in the top 4. Sadly, we've gone a couple games without bonus points, and mathematically that does make things difficult, but there's still a second half of the season. The second half of the season's already starting because this is jam-packed this year, but there's still a possibility we could close the gap, get into that 4th place. But I think if nothing else, being in 6th, being in 5th, I think is a really good place to start. It was the same at Exeter. Obviously, first year it was just be competitive. Second year was at least top 4. Obviously, we made top 2. The next year was top 2 win. Sadly, again, we didn't quite get the finish we wanted. They're still building on that dream. You've seen them at the top of the table for the last couple of weeks. They're playing exciting rugby. And so for us, the challenge is now that consistency here at Trailfinders. How do we perform every week? How do we get those bonus points? Because they make a difference, don't they, in that table? So, I want to be in the top 4, at least in the top 5. I think it's a good place for us to be in a second year.
Speaking of the top 4, and stormy weather. Gosh, we didn't even discuss you and Storm Dara over the weekend.
We care
against
about you
Armagh.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Loughborough Lightning, not enough lightning.
No, could have done with some lightning. Really
Could have done with some lightning. 7:31 against Gloucester Hartbury.
Yeah, a tough one. Conditions were rank. Obviously, they were
Rank.
awful for everyone.
Is it more awful when you leave with that big a deficit, though?
Yeah, probably. I think, when everyone's cold and
Yeah.
piss wet through.
Did you wear
and
a
then
thermal?
I wore 2. I changed at half time. Yeah, I'm not ashamed to say it.
Such a princess. Yeah.
It was cold. Like obviously Gloucester just got such an amount of big, powerful forwards that in a game like that, that's where you go. That's what you're going to lean on. So they controlled the game well. We just didn't. I was saying to Kay earlier, in the first half, pretty much every first phase we fumbled in some way. So we never got any attacking ball to even try. It's just one of those. I think again, it's probably not one we'll even analyse too hardly because there wasn't a huge amount in it to really move forward with.
And then there's a spicy one for you just before you set off for Christmas. Play Exeter.
We do. We play Exeter for the second time already, but at home, which it'll be an interesting one. But I'm looking forward to it. Like, I really like Exeter. I like the players. I like the team. I like Susie is great. But very much so, it'll be nice to play them here on home turf with our fans,
On
get
the
them
wood
out
chip.
of their
On
element.
home wood chip, yeah.
On the home wood chip in our little hamster cage. Have a little run around on the exercise wheel.
Smells better than a hamster cage.
It does, doesn't it? It just gives that nice oaky smell back to the whiskey and the bourbon barrels.
Great
you know?
bourbon vibes, yeah.
Right? Maybe we just pour some whiskey out on it, but it's a different story for a different day. But I think looking forward to it. Obviously, it'll be our 5th game on a bounce, which means just there'll probably be some tired bodies. But that being said, like, I'm excited. I'm G'd up for the game. I think the team is as well. We're coming off good momentum, getting a 5-point win against Sale. Going into this game, Exeter is a beatable team, just like any team, right? Like, even the best can fall, even the best can make mistakes. And so it's just about how we exploit that, and then go into Christmas with some good momentum.
Christmas
With
with WhiskySourPaws.
With WhiskySourPaws right here in England.
Here
we
in
won't
England.
be going far. It's too expensive to go home.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, see, we just stay here. I just love the weather so much here. I just love the rain and the darkness.
You've invested in all the coats and thermals. You might as well get.
I was
use
going to
out
say,
there,
yeah. I really probably should get a vitamin D lamp, but, just the vitamin D pills for now.
Is there a Christmas in Kansas ceremony or touch that you bring to festivities over here? Is there anything from home that you
good tradition.
introduce?
Yeah, it's a good question. Not particularly. We usually do like a bigger meal the night before. I think since just the wife and I, we used Christmas Day just to cook that for us. But we do have at least a family call we organize. So we try to do that on Christmas Day since we've been here. But no, I think we're finding our own kind of traditions. Last year, I did make my wife sing karaoke. Again, it's just the two of us, but I made her sing karaoke.
What was the song?
Honestly, I wish I could tell you, but it was something Christmassy. I think I just whacked on YouTube like Christmas songs with lyrics and was like, sing it! Come on! Bit of peer pressure, less leadership, more peer pressure.
Does Whiskey have a little Christmas dress up?
Again, if you go take a look at our Insta.
Sorry.
No. It's more like, no, this is good though, so I can paint the visual. But yes, we all have Christmas jumpers, including Whiskey.
Nice.
We even, Mandy and I both have like Christmas, like pajama
Pajamas?
bottoms. Yeah, so we've had those for years. And then recently I bought a Christmas sweater with dash hounds on them, sausage dogs on them with like little Christmas hats and stuff. And then she picked up some ridiculous cat one from TK Maxx last year with like jingle bells and everything. So
She would love that.
yeah, and then Whiskey has his as well. So yeah, we on Christmas Day put on all of our sweaters. We were in our PJs and like went on our morning dog walk last year. So check back, there will be more.
Okay,
again
sorry,
this
yeah,
year.
I'll go and have a
Keep
look.
an eye out for Whiskey Ealing. The Christmas jumper will make a return to the sidewalks.
Oh, 100%. And also, again, we just look great. We are a statement piece on Christmas Day. I think that maybe that's our new tradition. That and maybe a little karaoke
Yeah, a little show. Please make video this time.
of the karaoke.
We can't wait to see it.
That's how I accidentally lose my wife.
Now, we have to just check in on the quickfire notice board. We do this thing to just
Scary.
gather some of the input. I mean, we've already introduced one comment, but that was more serious. The reaction to the Beckett's on the show was great fun. Thank you so much to Simon Oliver, who says, I've been watching since Primo. That is a flex.
BM, should we call it?
Before Mo.
Before Mo.
Before Mo.
Yeah, you can't call it PM here, can you?
So I was
It's a
thinking.
bit weird.
Haven't laughed so much ever. Keep up the good work. Go on the circus. Sorry. Simon, we would send you a scrunchie. Do you have a ponytail?
Or bun.
Or a bun. Or a mun. Rugby Lover 10 on YouTube said, I got my...
Surprisingly, we've never heard that either.
Rugby Lover,
Enjoyed that. Yeah.
Rugby Lover, we are concerned. Rugby Lover 10 says, I got my Spotify wrapped and I listened to 10,000 minutes of this podcast. Love you guys and all your work. Scazzy worked out how many minutes of this podcast we have made.
What was it? 6.5.
6,000.
She's not sold on us having made 10,000 minutes.
We want to know if you double back round.
If
to
so,
really get the detail.
Which one was your favorite episode?
Yeah.
Which one did you listen to more than
But
once?
also, thank you very much.
Keep
And
listening.
Smarshy on TikTok says, did he have to call her a freak? What's that about? In rugby language, just so we are clear, this is
Huge compliment.
huge compliment. Even in second language, it is a very big compliment.
Producer Shira wants that compliment thrown at her one day. She told me about it.
Would you like it if I called you a rugby freak, Zackary?
I mean, in comparison to Alona, I don't know, but you know, I will take that as a massive compliment. Then I've been trying to hit the gym.
We've never had that compliment, so it's hard to know how we feel about it.
Yeah, fair. I mean, again, I don't think it's a bad thing. I just think in comparison, I don't think I'm close to that. I think I am genetically gifted, but not genetically freak.
Yeah, just not like...
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
I feel like if anyone called me a generic freak, I would blush a little bit, but also mainly because there's no way I'd ever be able to build that amount of muscle in my life.
You could. You just got to come to the Forge gym that I showed you. We'll show you how to do it.
Yeah, you just need to go to the forwards.
You gotta
gym.
come to the
And maybe
Forge
listen
gym.
to some country.
Yeah, listen to some country. It's kind of like osmosis, right? Like you just have to be around the environment to pick it up. I've been trying at least. It's kind of working.
I'm waiting for the results.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll let you know. My shoulders are like, the shirts are fitting a little tighter these days. It doesn't look like it, I know, but.
And then to the person who slagged off my sandwich game and said, I don't know what a sandwich is.
You don't.
It's a language barrier, okay?
We had this thing last week's show where we were talking about sandwiches. She was like, what's the topping? We were like, Elma, it's a sandwich, it's a filling. She was like, yeah, what's the topping?
What goes on it?
What goes in it? You see? Still,
My brain can't do that.
not a clue.
But in my head it goes on a sandwich.
So there is something called an open sandwich.
Like an open face sandwich.
So like, for example, you'd have a cob. This is also going to blow your mind. A bread bun, half it, have the middle both facing up, and then you may put something on it. That would be like an open sandwich. But a real life sandwich would be in it.
I think we need to go to the town of Sandwich to investigate this matter.
I mean,
I
also
would
at some
love
point,
that. Can
all
we do
sandwiches
that?
are open face, though, aren't they? So in her defense, like you put stuff on it, or are you sliding stuff? I don't know. Like it's open,
and then you
but
put
it
ends up
close
in.
it.
and then you put
But then
the
you
second
close
one on
it.
top of it. Yes, so it goes on.
That's the same one. There's no
Yes.
second one.
Well, I mean, you could do it twice. But it
What are
still
you
goes
sliding
on.
in between the buns? Like
Well, no, but once the sandwich is complete,
This is becoming
It is
something
in.
completely different now. Okay, I'm going to get the scrunchie so long. Thank you very much for being our guest, Kate Zackary.
thank you.
and thank you for having us.
Oh yeah, and thanks for coming to my
she's
house.
already popped it on.
How do I look?
Oh.
Thanks for making my commute very easy as well. It was the traffic was pretty bad walking across the grass, but we made it here on time.
Next season, we should do sausage dog dresses in the GSR branding.
I
is true.
agree.
Whiskey can pose.
Little wiener dog.
He's got cute little eyebrows, so it's a nice defining feature.
They're like mine on that picture out there.
They're a little bit thicker than that. They're like yours now.
They're the 2024 brow,
Yeah.
not the 2012 one.
Styled by 2024.
Got it.
Well, it was great catching up. Thank you for bringing your fresh new kicks out of the box.
Welcome.
Oh.
She took them out onto the sawgrass pitch,
Yeah.
which is
Did you
big
bring them
moves.
here in a box though in your car?
No. No. No.
Don't be silly.
Yeah, don't be silly.
But they
Check the
don't.
weather forecast. Thought it looked all right. Popped mum.
They don't go to the farm.
They do not go to the farm.
No.
God, no.
No, they only come
No.
to Trailfinders Women. to the purple carpet. Thank you so much for joining us. The Good, the Scaz and Rugby is a Folding Pocket production produced by, this week, Kim Oliver.
Kim Oliver. Go on,
Thank you
Kim.
for the value add, and also that beautiful advent calendar in the corner full of chocolates that we might now have to sample. And our big brain, Shira Kilgallen.